Coach Stone Podcast.
Coach Stone Podcast number 18. I want to thank everyone for listening to Coach Stone Podcast. I want to thank BJ, JC Hawks Radio, JC Hawks Sports Network for letting me do this thing. We're in episode 18. Remember, visit my website for all my past blogs and podcasts and my PE games and books at CoachStoneFootball.com. Remember also you can listen to all my old and new podcasts that are on iTunes under JC Hawks Radio. They're also under Stitcher if you look there and Google JC Hawks Radio. So my next guest on the Coach Stone Podcast number 18 is Vice President Business Development of Second Skull, Kevin Lynch. Kevin, are you on?
I am, Coach. Thank you.
Kevin, before we start, let's do this. Let me go over the game plan of the podcast. It's going to be very simple so the viewers that, we only got about 20 of them, so maybe after you we'll have about 30 or 40 if that's okay with you. We'll have a game plan. It's pregame. Talk about yourself, Kevin, and talk about your company, and then a little bio by yourself. We'll go to commercial breaks in between everything. We'll have a kickoff question. Then we'll have a first drive question, halftime, kick return question, second drive question, and then a 2-minute warning where, Kevin, you can talk to us, give us some words of wisdom for 2 minutes, and then at the end, we'll have the end of the game. If we get to overtime, we will. So, Kevin, are you all ready to roll?
I am indeed, Coach.
Perfect, okay. So pregame, please tell us about yourself. Tell us how you got it with Second Skull, what you do for Second Skull, and how can viewers and listeners, because, we got to make this a TV podcast, Kevin. So tell us how they can get a hold of you and all this other stuff. Go ahead.
Sure. I'm the Vice President of Business Development of Second Skull. I'm actually basically, even though worked at the very beginning with the founder, my background is finance, not sports or protective-related materials. However, I've done a number of early-stage equity deals. We got involved with this. We became passionate about it. We did an exceptional amount of work helping the founder, and now we've kind of moved in and gone day-to-day to operating the company. The product itself was invented by the founder who saw his young son wreck on a bicycle, and the bicycle broke. The bicycle helmet broke, pardon me.
Oh,
and he said there has to be a way to make children safer. And his background was marketing, and the light went on when he saw Cam Newton run out of the tunnel for a football game. And he said, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a protective material in a skull cap that they wear, and it's going to sit under the helmet, and it's going to add added protection to the people that wear it. So that was the genesis of the idea. I got involved after the idea and took it from the idea to a product and now to a company. So that's how I've gotten involved. And so the product itself is a patented compressive cap. It has just 2 millimeters of XRD, which is a product made from Rogers Corporation here in America, and it's soft and flexible and breathable at rest. And when it gets hit, it instantaneously hardens and then goes right back to a soft resting place. So it looks like and it looks almost identical to what the kids wear without the protection. So we knock a lot of the issues out of the being a protective product, right? It is protective, but there's no stigma attached to it. It looks like what they wear.
Interesting. What's the website, Coach? Facebook, Twitter?
We'll find you on Facebook, but the best thing to do is to come to our website. It's www.secondskull. It's the number 2 NDSKULL.com. That has everything that you're going to want to need to deal with us. Plenty of information, all the people that are involved, testing data, partners, and most importantly, who our retail partners are and you can buy it right there on the website directly from us. So that's the number 2, NDSKULL.com. Thank you, Coach.
Oh, don't worry about it. And I saw it's also your Twitter, too, at the number 2, NDSKULL also. So that's awesome. All right, Coach, let's do this.
Great, thank you.
No, don't worry about it. Let's do this. Let's go to a commercial break, and then we come back. I'm going to ask you some tough questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so perfect. U.S. Army, Go Army Edge app commercial. We'll be right back with Kevin Lynch, Vice President, Business Development of Second Skull. Coach Stone Podcast number 18. We'll be right back.
Go Army Edge Football is a free game-changing app that allows coaches to draw their plays with X's and O's like on a whiteboard, and then get the mental reps from the first person's perspective of any position on the field with real-time 3D graphics or virtual reality. Go Army Edge Football comes preloaded with many example plays and drills for concepts such as formation recognition and RPO reads. Any coach in any system can benefit from demonstrating in Go Army Edge Football, and every player can become a better football player with extra reps in the app. Go visit them on their Twitter or Facebook, insert at Go Army Edge.
Back from the commercial break, U.S. Army Go Edge Army app. It's a great app, free one. If you haven't downloaded yet, please do in the United States. We got Kevin Lynch from Second Skull on. Kevin, first question is this. You explained it in the game plan a little bit, but exactly what is Second Skull? And tell us about your product. The one thing I really like about your product is it's tested, things like that. There's a ton of sports you guys use it in, but can you tell the audience of exactly what is Second Skull?
Right. Yeah, I'm happy to. It's the skull is a skull cap, very much just like you see Cam Newton wear, a lot of the pros wear, the exact same thing. It is a skull cap. It's a compressive cap with 2 millimeters of protective material in it. The reason it's 2 millimeters is that the 2 millimeter threshold makes helmet fitting virtually simple. There's no fitting issue with the helmet sizing at 2 millimeters. It's a patented product, and the product that's patented is a utility patent actually on the cap itself, not on the material. So the patent is on protective pockets inside a compressive cap that adds protection to your head. So it's patented, and the most significant thing is why we're here is that it works, and it works on 2 ways. One is linear, and a linear hit, for those that don't know, is basically the easiest way to explain it is you have your football helmet on. I take a hammer, I hit you on the head with the hammer. The impact goes through your helmet, and instead of going directly to your head, it goes to our skull cap that goes through that protective material and then gets to your head. So in that process, that is reduced. The amount of impact going to your head is reduced, which is a significant thing, and that's what it was made for. However, in years of testing now, what we also found out, which is just as big a benefit, if not bigger, because the helmets weren't designed to do it, but there's called rotational force. And the skull cap reduces rotational force as well as linear force. And rotational force is if you get a side blow to your helmet and the helmet goes, right to left and takes your neck or your head with it. The skull cap works as a slip plane. So the helmet slides across the skull cap before it takes your head. And in that instantaneous second, when it's sliding on your head, that's reducing the amount of impact it's going to put on your head and neck. And the most significant thing about that is if you can reduce the rotational force by like 8%, the chance of injury is like 30%. So it's not 1 for 1. If we can reduce that rotational force by 8, your chance of being hurt is 8. It's really, if you can reduce it by 8, your chances of being hurt are much less than 8%. So that's a very significant thing.
That's huge. And then, we were talking about earlier, we were talking about when I was driving to go see my father, gravestone. you're talking about there's two main goals for Second Skull, and that's really turned me on. Can you explain to the audience, Kevin, the two goals of Second Skull?
Yeah, sure. Well, they are good goals, and the main one, right, that everybody can get is we want to reduce injuries, right? So, and the skull cap does that. We can't, and it's all written down. Nobody can prevent concussions, but what we can do, much like a seat belt or your cell phone cover, we can make you safer and help try to limit those places where you can really get hurt. And so the main thing is to make all athletes and and especially children safer when they're playing sports. And then the second goal is, as a company, we love sports and what they do, and the ability of the cap to keep kids playing these sports and to keep the participation levels up and hopefully re-engage them to back when I was younger, where they're more robust. We know that the benefits of playing these games far, far, far outweigh the risk for 99% of the people. And so we just, it's a passion for us. One, protection, and two, that, the kids in our, really around the globe, because we're global and we're not sports specific, although we are viewed as a football company, that people play and play safer.
The one thing I do like about your, if you get a chance, go to ND-Skull.com. Check it out, because, Coach, you have some good stuff in here. I mean, I'm not trying to toot your horn here, but you have actual testing, okay? And what's cool about it, it's, you're saying about football. There's football. There's ski and snowboarding. There's softball with a 55-mile-per-hour ball coming at it. A baseball projectile, 60 miles per hour. BMX biking, cycling, and skateboarding, football linear impact, football rotational impact, hockey linear impact, the hockey puck projectile going 63 miles per hour. You got to tell me who shot that gold.
Right.
Hockey rotational impact, and lacrosse, too. And, we'll talk later on the podcast, because I know we were talking about there's another one there. But that's really good that you have all this data showing you guys have done this with the helmet only and then with Second Skull. And it's amazing the results just from your skull cap alone.
Right, and at every level of testing, and we should have probably I should have mentioned it earlier because it's my job. But we did win a grant from the NFL this year, and it
you stole my thunder. That was going to be my next question, Coach.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right.
It's very competitive. 84 companies submitted to get a grant. Only 3 won, and we were one of them. In this round, there's been other rounds, but we were 3 of 84. We won a grant, and the grant was basically you don't win the grant if it doesn't work, right? So they were confident that it worked, and what we're trying to do now is there's a couple of the things in the testing they want to do. The more we can get the skull cap to slip, like I was talking to you about rotational force, then that's the less likely you are. The more rotational force we reduce, the safer the player becomes under the helmet. And then the other most significant thing was that they wanted to test it for heat. And the most significant thing is, in this latest testing round that we've done with the NFL, it is no hotter, which we didn't know at the time, than a regular skull cap. So it's in the second highest classification of heat. So it is not any hotter than your regular skull cap. So that was a significant thing for us, because we didn't know that. So the 2 millimeter, the pour-on, it's breathable, and it's more breathable than we thought. So
wow.
And the testing there is going well. It significantly improved the helmets that we were testing up there in the first round, and we're going into different types of same football helmets, but different helmets. I'm going to leave the names of the companies out of it, but they significantly improved the helmets we tested. And their lab is it's in Canada, and it's the highest speeds in the world up there. And so when we improve them at those speeds, we really improve them, at the high school level and the college level, because the guys they're just not moving as fast. But so everything is positive.
Awesome. So, Coach, let's do this. Before we go any further, let's talk more in depth, too, a little bit about that grant. And, I want to congratulate you, too, now. Well, I'll congratulate you in a second. Let's go to a commercial break, and then we'll come back with the first drive question. Is that okay?
Sounds great.
Perfect. High and tight commercial. We'll be back. Coach Stone podcast number 18.
Do you preach about ball security? Is getting better each day something you strive to do? Do you want to work to eliminate fumbles? The High and Tight Teaching Football is a revolutionary design football that encompasses virtually every method known to eliminate fumbling, thus maximizing your opportunity to be victorious. The High and Tight Teaching and Training Football is state-of-the-art patented football that gives athletes and those around instant, audible feedback when you are holding the football correctly, high and tight, thus closing the gap between the wrist and the body and the elbow and the body. Whether you're a player, utilize the wing tee carrying with two hands over the ball, or a pro style against their body, High and Tight provides an audible alert when proper hold is executed correctly. Start to create habits that win games with teaching your players how to carry the ball high and tight. Order yours today at highandtight.com. Use promo code Coach Stone to save.
First drive question for Coach Stone, podcast number 18. We're back from commercial break. Okay, Kevin, you got me a little early with the kickoff question because this question was going to be, I want to congratulate you for your NFL grant that you guys won. You're saying that 3 companies out of 84 won that grant. On your website, you even have it, and it talks about everything you do and things like that. It's called the winner of the NFL HeadHealthTECH Challenge II grant. Is that what it's called?
That is correct, yes.
Perfect. So you talked a little about in the kickoff question, like things you did and everything like that. Can you touch base on, like with your product, the different types? Because you have a skull cap, I see, and then you got like a headband. Can you go into the grant
Sure.
a little bit more if you can, and then talk about the different products you guys sell?
Right. Well, that's 2 separate questions, Coach. But let me get the grant itself is specifically for our skull cap, which is the 2 millimeter cap that looks almost identical to what like Cam Newton wears. It's just a regular skull cap with 2 millimeters of poron in it, and it sits underneath the helmet. And the great thing about our product, unlike our competitors, you can use it in practice and games. It's approved by the leagues. It's not fitting is not an issue. So all those things go out, and it adds rotational and linear benefits, which we discussed earlier in the show. So it helps you both ways in terms of added protection. It's approved for practice and games, and it's not sports specific. So for you kids out there that play football and hockey and lacrosse, we're going to sell you one product for 3 sports all year. We just ask that you take it and get a new one after the end of the year. But we'll put one product, 3 seasons. It's hand washable. It's antimicrobial, wicking. So that'll handle you for the entire sports season. And then, Coach, thank you. We have a couple other products that weren't in the NFL grant, but that we offer. We have a headband that's for non-helmeted sports, and that would include soccer, basketball, women's field hockey, women's lacrosse, and we are making a solid push into the soccer market. And then just this year coming on, we have a rugby-style cap that would be it's approved already for the International Rugby Federation, but it's also been redesigned here for a 7-on-7 football product. So we have a rugby product internationally, and we have partnerships all over the world, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. But our product that was redesigned is we have a specific 7-on-7 football helmet. And then I think one of the most significant things is through our partnership in Seattle with Athlete Intelligence, all these products, the skull cap will be a year or 2 behind only because of the technology it's going to take to flatten out the electronics to get into it. But our headband and our rugby cap will be fitted with a sensor and an app that we'll sell to you on your phone or the teams or the coaches can buy them and go directly through to their manager, to the trainer. But we'll be able to, in real time, tell you how hard you got hit, where you got hit, put a threshold in there, and via Bluetooth, deliver it to your phone during practice and the games. And that's for the headband should be done within the next maybe 3 weeks, and the rugby cap is already done. So we can put a sensor in there, put that on your head, and when you're playing, you take a shot to the head, it'll register right on your iPhone, and we can tell you, what the proper threshold is, where you got hit, and whether to take a look. And then for the coaches out there, what we can do is, when you're practicing, if you're getting hit in the same place all the time, you can work on techniques to limit injuries too with this information. So, there's coachable moments, and then there's just practical moments of like, hey, we got to take a look at this kid because he really got hit hard. So there's a lot. This is going in a lot of different directions.
And that's a really great point, because remember when we played the game, right? I remember I had a player at Revis High School. Any of the Revis people listening, we had a guy named Nathan, and he would always put his head down, right? If that invention was there back then and it had the sensors going off and everything, it would tell the coach, hey, we tell you every day, but look, it's on the phone, right? I know we didn't have the phone. I mean, when I had a phone back when I was playing that day, I had the book, the phone case, right? The suitcase phone. I don't know if you remember that, but that would be awesome. Like any mom, dad, parent, or how these moms, they don't want the kids to play these sports or even football. You have a product right here with Second Skull that really, really soon will tell the parents, hey, this is where your son's getting hit, or the coach can see that of where he's getting hit. And I think that's amazing. When you said it's coming, the headband is coming out shortly, or is it coming out?
Yeah, the headband. We should have the headband, within just 6 weeks. The rugby helmet is already designed, and the skull cap itself, because of its thin profile to fit under the helmet, it's gonna take some engineering. But the other products are ready to go. Within by July, they'll be ready to go.
And here's the thing too, with the audience listening, if you go to Second Skull and then the top of the thing, they got the about everything, the products, where to buy it, the technology, the testing, the videos, the news, and the contact. And then in the top right corner, they even have the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube for you guys to follow and things like that. Check out the product page, because they have the 4 products right now are the Black Skull cap, the Second Skull camo cap, and then they got the black headband, and then also the pink headband. That's awesome. Coach, that's great. I mean, let's do this. I don't mean to cut you off. Let's go to halftime right now. We'll have, my book will be during halftime. We'll get some water and things, talk a little bit before we go back to the podcast. And then we'll have a couple commercial breaks, my book, Tackle Tube USA, and then we'll get back with more questions. That's okay with you?
That's fine. Thanks.
Perfect. We'll be right back. Coach Stone podcast number 18. Got Kevin Lynch, Vice President of Business Development for Second Skull. We'll be right back. Halftime.
The Big Four, a physical education book written by Coach Anthony Stone, can be purchased through the following locations: Amazon, iTunes, BarnesandNoble.com, and Kobo.
The safety of your players is more important than ever. As the game changes to protect the players, Tackle Tube USA is a leading way with the original innovative product design, not only to practice safer, but promote and teach the best tackling technique. Invented in 2009 by professional rugby player and coach Glenn Remnant, Tackle Tube allows the players to simulate real game situations, track and tackle a moving target, promote great body position, and improve technique and timing. Coaches in the U.S. and all over the globe are using Tackle Tube to promote a safer and more effective way to tackle. Unlike other bags that have a limited use, there are many ways to use a Tackle Tube in your practice, both in season and out of the season. Drills for every position. Tackle Tube never needs to leave the practice field. Check us out at TackleTubeUSA.com or on our YouTube channel and all social media. Look for TackleTube USA.
Brunch, $30.
Hey, that's okay, Wendy. That was a good carry. You're still the man. You're the man.
Latte, $4.
Shake it off, Johnny. Rub some dirt on it.
New piano, $3,000.
All right, guys. They're not saying boo. They're saying movers.
Supporting your team. Priceless.
Sorry, Bobby. You still got the best arm in the neighborhood.
There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
This is decaf, right?
Back from halftime, we just listened to Tackle Tube, and we just talked about the Big Four book during halftime. Coach and Kevin Lynch, Vice President, was on with me. We're not X and O, and we were talking about technology, and it was pretty cool about how he was telling me the things to do. You know, it's kind of like with the technology of what everything goes with the second skull cap. It's really interesting. If you get a chance, please go to their website, look at the product, make sure you go under the technology section or the testing section just to see some results and things that we were just talking about during the halftime that my audience didn't listen to. Kevin, here we go. Kickoff return question. This is a great thing. With Second Skull, you guys have been around for a couple of years now, right? Who's been contacting you the most? Coaches, parents, school districts, booster clubs? Maybe I'm like stealing some thunder, you know, for a whole team or things like that. If you don't mind answering those questions, that'd be great.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It actually started mostly with individual players and parents, and that's actually how these things have to grow. And it's been great because, right, it takes the right parent just to say, well, that's fine. If my kid's playing, he's going to use it, or he's not playing. And it grew from that as more kids got to see it. And like you said, you brought up the camo, and then the camo thing was pretty cool. So then whole teams, started to want to buy a bunch of the same players on the team all wanted the camo hat. So right, and then it trickled down into, if you go to our website and our social media, there's some flag football kids that use it. So it's grown, and it takes time. So now this is coming into really probably our second full season, and we have the NFL behind us. So this is the first, and we've been to some coaches conventions and some team dealer things. So this is the first year we're starting to get, we've had a couple of school districts call to order some. Coaches themselves are buying them, and so we're breaking free of the onesies and twosies and the individuals. So you went from the early adopters, and the people that really believe in technology to now the technology is becoming proven, and we're starting to get into the marketplace through influencers from the top down instead of the bottom up. We need both. Mothers have been a driving force behind us, and quite frankly, in our research, actually, a lot of the athletes themselves are finding it, which we didn't know. So when people hear the story and realize what it does and how little it costs, as we like to say, it's a no-brainer. For you pay that much, you pay as much for a cell phone cover as you would to protect your child for 3 seasons in the year. And it's basically the exact same thing. We can't prevent you from getting hurt, but we can help you mitigate the ability of getting hurt or hurt badly, and that's what we work as a company to do.
The one thing you said with the 3 seasons, the viewers have to. Any mom, myself, for example, Coach, we were talking about my son getting one of these for flag football, and it's not just because I'm afraid, how the whole big thing out there with all the the C word, the concussion, but one thing that I think that's really awesome about your product, it's a video game. That's what parents have to understand. If for paying for one Xbox or PlayStation 4 game, you get that for 3 seasons. That's 1 whole year, and you can wear it for multiple sports. That's one thing you got to realize.
Right.
And you could wear the skull cap for basketball. You could, but
right.
If you don't, then just get the headband for basketball and things like that, and you wear it for a whole year. And you said, you were saying something earlier about the heat stuff. That really impressed me. That sold me as a driving force, because when you think of a black hat, right, it's going to be like beaming heat on them, where you just said with your technology that you guys have, it doesn't really change your temperature much. So
yeah, no, it doesn't. Right.
That is phenomenal. And, for any booster clubs, moms of football or parents of moms, clinics that I go to and talk, I'll definitely throw this product out there, because it's like this product right here, if, like you were saying like earlier, if you hit a hammer with the helmet, this will impact it somewhat, if that makes sense. It, like you said, you can go and get hit by a car. This is not going to matter, right? But if
right.
It's impact, yeah, right. But if it's impact by, like a linear, things like that, it absorbs the pressure, and that I think is phenomenal, Kevin. I think that's
right. Yes,
so awesome. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. It's just an extra layer of protection that absorbs both types of impacts, and so it's just one more layer before it gets to the most important thing in your body, your brain, and that's why it was designed. And I think if you go through the website, as a company, we can't say that it makes every helmet better. And the only reason we can't say that, right, from the government standpoint, is because we haven't tested every helmet. But basically, any helmet that we've run a test for it, from football to hockey, you can look right on our website, even riding helmets. So we've got an agreement, 2 agreements. We're in the process of determining which one, with major riding helmet companies, because, just like you fall off a horse, you hit your head, the second skull even makes that better. So things that weren't even on our radar screen, they've taken it and tested it, and it's worked. So, and another thing that's on the website, if you want to go look, is if you go to the videos, there's stuff on there from the Science Channel. We didn't, there was nothing that we could control on that, and they tested the product and it worked beyond what they were even thinking. So, it speaks for itself. It's really what it is. It's a soft grade. It's a technology, but and thinking like a technology. Think of it as it's a software upgrade for every single helmet that's in the marketplace today. So for a small amount of money, you can make that helmet work better. And we think that it's a terrific value proposition.
Well, any child with a kid, right? You know how it is, like, Kevin, I have 5 kids. The first time we had a kid, my wife and I, that baby fall down, we would run to her, right? After 4 or 5 kids, if there's no blood, there's no foul. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. With your skull cap, my son gets this, wears this for flag, right? Hey, Dad, I'm going out with the bike. I'm riding my bike, right? And Kevin, when we were younger, there were no helmets on kids, right?
Right.
We turned out all great, right? But nowadays, every kid has a helmet. If you have the skull cap, you wear that with the helmet. That just gives you added protection, where if nowadays, as a parent, you want the kid to go riding, but then you don't trust the cars, people driving half the cars, right? And,
right.
It's just something to think about. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, you say it's for 3 seasons, but really you think about it, it's for 4 seasons, because you could ride your bike. You can ride your bike anytime almost, especially if you're in Florida. You're riding a bike all the time. And that goes for adults too. If you go to the website, if you ride your bike a ton, I'm telling you right now, just by reading the stuff, just by going through this website, just the videos alone, I just went to your video site, there's so many videos that, like the bicycle helmet drop test. I think that's phenomenal. I was watching it, Coach. Kevin, don't get mad at me. I was watching it just now with the like the fruit or something in there. That's awesome.
Yeah, it speaks for itself.
So, okay, perfect. Let's do this, Kevin. Let's go to the next question. Before we go to the next question, let's go to 3D coaching commercial. Coach Stone podcast number 18. We'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. What legacy will you leave as a coach? The 3-dimensional coaching framework empowers coaches at every level to fulfill their transformational purpose by helping them become fundamentally sound, skilled at coaching the mind, and focused on developing the heart. Are you needing to take courses to meet professional development or recertification requirements? If so, check out the different online 3D coaching course offerings at 3dinstitute.com. You can even take the 3D coaching course for 3 graduate credits. Make sure you use the coupon UNITEALL to save 10% on your entire cart. That's Unite All, no spaces, all one word, at 3dinstitute.com. Back to Coach Stone podcast number 18. Second drive question with Coach, sorry, I keep calling him Coach, Kevin Lynch, Vice President Business Development for Second Skull. Kevin, last question. Here we go. What partnerships do you have right now? And if Cam Newton's not on here, I'm going to be really upset with you because you already said his name twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
So, Cam, if you're ever listening to this, you better be wearing a Second Skull cap this fall.
We would love Cam to wear it, but for full disclosure, Cam is not our partner, although he was he was the genesis of him wearing a skull cap without padding was the genesis of the idea, and then started it all the way down to becoming patented and then winning an NFL grant. So that's all good. But we do have a fair amount of partnerships in a wide array of areas. If you go to the website, we have major retailers like Dick's and Dunham's. So we have major retail partners. We have global partners. We have distributorships in Japan. We have distributorships in Australia and in Europe. And then we also have a very significant technology partnership with Athlete Intelligence, and they're based in Seattle, and they are our technology partner, and it's their sensor technology and data capture that we use in our products. And it's a mature technology, and they're the ones that create our apps, and they manage our data, and it's a terrific partnership, and they're terrific partners.
Awesome. So with your new skull caps coming out, their sensors are the ones going into your caps, and then that does the data and all that stuff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's pretty cool. So if you want to order one, remember you can go to local sports stores like Dick's. There's places overseas. If you really want one, just go to their website. Number
right,
2.
and
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say your website's number 2. ndskull.com, secondskull.com. What were you going to say, Kevin?
Yeah, and I was going to say, right, you can buy it directly on our website, which thank you, Coach. And
don't worry about it.
Because we're a small company, when we say Dick's and we say Dunham's, it's always best just to look at our website because we're in the Northeast and we're regionalized in these retailers. So if you're in California or somewhere, the Dick's might not have it. So if you can either check to make sure it's there by our website, or you can either just buy it at Amazon or from our website directly, if that's easier. So it's just to clarify a point.
No, perfect. And here's the thing too, I would say, and I don't know if you agree with this. You'll definitely agree with this, Kevin. Make sure when you buy the skull cap, make sure it has that skull right on the front, right? Because if it doesn't have that's not a Second Skull product.
Right? Yeah,
we know that.
And the other thing probably we need to think of, there's 3 sizes. There's small, teen adult, which handles most of the people. I would say 75% of the people would wear a teen adult, and then the XL. So the youth is for young children, and then I would say once you get to the preteen and teen to adult is the teen adult, and then the XLs if you're a big dude or woman and you have that sizing issue. And again, if there's a problem, it doesn't fit, just contact us. We'll switch it out for you, no problem.
So let's do this really quick, and I apologize for this. With the youth size, what level? I don't want to give you what usually the age group around 7, 8? Is that would be youth?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna say up to from 6 to 11 would be that, depending on the size, of age, and it may even be less than that. It could be, but the teen adult is going to cover a large swath of the people listening to this.
Awesome, perfect. So, yeah, and remember, go to their website. It's probably better just go there because if you go there, it's all right there. You go to Dick's right now. In where I'm living, they might go there and you'll see another product and you'll be like, oh, I'll get this one. If it doesn't have the Second Skull on it, don't even get it. When you do it, go to their website, pick it up. So much easier. and they have shipping, so it's going to get to you eventually. So, all right, Kevin, let's do this. Let's come back. That's all done. Let's do a huddle commercial. We'll be back with a 2-minute warning. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Coach Stone Podcast, number 18, Kevin Lynch. We'll be right back. Huddle is a leading software company revolutionizing the way coaches and athletes prepare and stay ahead of the competition. Go to @HuddleFootball on Twitter or go to www.huddle.com/football for more information on Huddle. Coach Stone Podcast number 18, back from Huddle commercial break. 2-minute warning. Kevin, I appreciate everything you've been doing so far. 2 minutes of wisdom. It's all you. Go ahead.
Well, we've covered so much. I hope I have 2 minutes to go, but I can say that
awesome.
Second skull has been tested. It's been tested in Canada via the NFL. Remember that Virginia Tech and Duke helped make those decisions on who would. And they were the people that helped evaluate the companies in the HeadHealthTECH Challenge II for the NFL. The product has had extensive testing in Europe, and it's also had testing in 3 labs in the U.S., all biomechanical testing, just exactly like the helmets that your kids play in. They take the test. They take the exact same test that they test a football helmet in. The only difference is they do the testing design once with the helmet alone, and then we just put the same exact test with the skull cap on the head, do the exact same test, and measure the difference. And it never fails. So the test, every time they do the drop test or the rotational test, we improve it. So that it's tested. It's been tested, significantly tested. It's a simple product. It's not that expensive, and it's multi-sport, and it's attractive to wear. And that is the football product, the second skull cap. And as we have alluded to, as the coach has, because he's been so thorough, we do have a headband. It's made of the same pour-on material, all the same good characteristics. It's terrific for soccer and basketball and any other women's sports. There actually has ponytail access for the women in the back. The skull cap is patented. And we have coming in now a rugby cap, a rugby-style cap for 7-on-7 football. That should be in the marketplace soon. And all of the products within the first 2 products, the rugby cap and the headband, should have the athlete intelligence sensors and data capture in them in the next month or 2. And the skull cap will be along a little later just because of some technical difficulties in making the electronics small enough to fit in the 2-millimeter profile. But the product has been used at every level of football except the NFL. We're in the process right now with the NFL grant of getting that tested in camps this year. So that should be a significant thing. But it's a terrific product. It works, and hopefully it'll keep kids playing contact sports, and we know that it's going to keep them safer. One final caveat, I think as a company we have to be clear that we can't prevent concussions, but we can help mitigate force and impacts. And if you do that, you're going to help mitigate the damages that forces and impacts make. So that's the business we're in. And, we hope to keep kids safe and playing sports.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Kevin, thank you so much. And the one thing that I love how you said it, scientifically tested, you're on the Science Channel, things like that. That's so awesome. That's the end of the game. I want to thank everyone for listening to Coach Stone Podcast. Kevin from Second Skull, thank you very much, sir, for your time. If anybody wants to go to you, can you give them your website again? Website and all that stuff?
Yeah, the website is the gold standard to get in touch with us. It's the number 2 and the letters NDSKULL.com.
That's awesome. And that's a great hashtag you go, Second Skull, hashtag Second Skull Gold Standard. Because honestly, you were 3 out of 84 that won that award, and that's a pretty amazing thing. So congrats again, Kevin, for that. Again, thank you, everybody, for listening to Coach Stone Podcast, Coach Stone Podcast number 18. Thank you, JC Hawks Radio, JC Hawks Sports Network. BJ, thanks for letting me do this. Remember, if you ever miss an episode, you can listen to it on iTunes under JC Hawks Radio and also Stitcher. I'll leave my audience with this. Always remember instilling confidence by laying a foundation. Thank you, and have a great day. Coach Stone Podcast number 18.
Coach Stone Podcast.